Hey everyone, it is Sam here. I wanted to say hello and thank you for joining us this week. I have been loving the introductions. It's great to get to know you all. And also I love the focus on health that I've been seeing. I know a lot of the times when we start things like diets versus working towards health, it's really easy to get off track because we end up thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this, it's too much. But when you think about this is going to help me long term in my health, it's so much harder to give up, especially once you start feeling better, which is what I hope that you feel by the end of this week. Now, I know this is really overwhelming. A lot of you are commenting already on how much you're going to miss cheese and things like that. And I can tell you right now, although that may be the case, I promise you right now that having that kind of mentality is not going to help you at all. I want you to instead focus on the plethora of food that you can still enjoy instead of one of the few things that you may be giving up. I know a lot of you, the foods that you're giving up are kind of like your crutch foods. They're your staples, things like cereal and bagels and biscuits and all that stuff. And then you've of course got the cheese, which is pizza, and how are you going to put milk in your coffee and things like that. So today I wanted to just show you some of my personal favorite swap outs for some of the things that you may be missing or having questions about how to change. Now, I uploaded a file in our group and it's just called Dairy-Free, Gluten-Free Swap Outs. It's an Excel file, and in there you will see not only suggested brands but also a link to where to find them or what they might look like on the shelves, just to give you a better idea of what you're looking for when you go to the grocery store. Is that an all-inclusive list though? No, by no means. It is not all-inclusive. I encourage you to try new things. That's part of the joy of doing a gluten-free, dairy-free challenge, is to get out of your comfort zone. And I'm going to challenge you later this week to do just that. Now today, I am here in my this is stuff out of the pantry that I grabbed. And this is all things that I would suggest that if you are going to be serious about doing gluten-free, dairy-free, these are my personal recommendations of things that I buy all the time. So I wanted to just be 100% open and honest with you guys. This is the stuff in my pantry. So we're going to go kind of over big food groups, and then of course check out that file when you're done. Again, it's an Excel file. There is a link in there, just a heads up, to Thrive Market if you've never shopped there before. It's kind of like Amazon Prime, but it is for just a food specific website. There's a link in there that is will give you 25% off your first purchase. And it also gives me a little bit of points. So I'd really appreciate it if you use that link as your initial way to get onto Thrive, and then you can search around there. You don't have to use it though, by all means. You can always just go to Whole Foods or your grocery store for a lot of these items too. P.S. One of my favorite places is Trader Joe's, and you will see that over and over again today. All right, so we are gonna start. Well, let me stop for a second. I know it's like lunchtime. Is any questions so far, Dave? No, okay, so I'm gonna start with some of the basics, okay? What do you put in your coffee? That's a big question I get, especially transitioning into dairy-free. This is my personal favorite. It is called Good Karma. It's flax milk. And for me, it's a little bit heavier bodied than coconut milk as far as in my coffee. I'm drinking coffee right now with it in there. So I tell you right now, this is what we use. I also like unsweetened coconut milk. Now this is just the Trader Joe's version. So Delicious has a version of this as well. What you want to look for is that it is coconut beverage unsweetened. You can get the vanilla if you want. Make sure it's unsweetened. It should have roughly 45 calories per cup. That is how you know you grab the same one. There are also hashtag nut milk for my Katie girl, almond milk, cashew milk, things like that. Those are great too. I just prefer the coconut milk and the flax milk because we are mostly a nut-free house because of allergies in the house. So heads up there, you can try those as well. Same thing goes with those. Make sure they are not sweetened. If you are drinking a sugary milk substitute, you're not doing yourself any good with trying to reduce inflammation, because with sugar comes inflammation as well. So that kind of covers going through just dairy, and as far as milk goes, things to put in your cereal, your smoothies, things like that, and of course your coffee. The other option is to buy coconut milk in a can. This is much, much thicker. So if you're used to using legit half and half, you may want to just get a can of this, shake it up, and pour it in your coffee. It will harden a little bit in the fridge because the coconut solids do get hard. So if you're going to use this on the regular, I suggest that you pull it out of the fridge a few minutes before you're going to use it, shake it up again, and just a heads up there, okay? So we went over milk. Now the other thing that I know is so hard to give up is pasta and pizza. So let's go there right now, because I know your brains have already started going there and you're like, oh my God, I can't live without pizza or pasta, right? So some of the options, and I sent some links. I like the Trader Joe's brand of the brown rice pasta. We don't have it in the house. I haven't had it in a long time. I actually gave up grains for a long time. But there's also these fun black bean pasta shells. So these have higher protein. They have red lentil ones, and this is online in the spreadsheet I sent you at Trader Joe's as well. But just looking for things like brown rice or quinoa. I haven't had the best luck with quinoa pasta, but if you have a brand that you enjoy, that's a great option. But my favorite, hands down way, because we'll talk about this in a second, but I always encourage you to get as many veggies in a day. And one of my favorite ways is to invest in a spiralizer. Now these things are like, depending on the brand you get, 25, 30 bucks on Amazon. I use the Inspiralized brand because I like that it's got this little thing where you don't have to keep a million of the blades. You see it just turns and you can go to the next blade. I really like this because otherwise I have to keep all the blades like stored somewhere and I'm more likely to forget them, not use them. The nice thing about this though, guys, versus a little hand spiralizer, is that you can use both zucchini easily in here, and you can also do a sweet potato, butternut squash, things like that. So this is heavy duty enough to get through a butternut squash. To cook the butternut squash, you just want to throw it in the oven, don't boil it, it'll disintegrate, just a heads up. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. And then of course, any just brand that says gluten-free pasta, feel free to try it. It may be great, it may not be great. Keep an open mind though, okay? Pizza, easy. I'm gonna hit breads on this too. So Dave really enjoys these gluten-free muffins. They come frozen, they're at Whole Foods. You can always find, usually Food for Life. This is the same brand that makes the Ezekiel bread, which is not gluten-free, by the way. Make sure you look for the words gluten-free on the package, or it is likely not gluten-free. These again are in the frozen sections. So you can go back to being a kid and cut one of these babies up and use this as your base for pizza. Easy. I personally love these raw wraps. So they're completely raw and it's all vegetables. These I get on Thrive Market. I have an insane amount of these. Dave will tell you I went a little crazy. He's like nodding his head. But these are gluten-free pizza crust, and the ingredients include carrot, zucchini, apples, sprouted buckwheat, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, coconut, things like that. So these are a little bit tougher, but you can see they look just like pizza, little individual pizzas. Two of them are like $4. Yes, it's more expensive, but this is whole food nutrition. So again, things like this to me should be a splurge, but you're thinking, what the heck am I gonna put on pizza? I can't have dairy, right? One of my favorite things to do is to use pesto instead. Now that's super simple to do. You just want to make sure that the pesto you are buying does not have cheese in it. Usually all pesto, the recipe is Parmesan cheese in there, and that's what gives it the quality that you love. However, I have found that a little bit of flax or hemp seeds and some good oil, you don't even miss the Parmesan. So make it yourself. It's super cheap and easy. Or really be careful about the brand you are buying. I linked to a pesto on Thrive Market. It's pretty inexpensive and it's also dairy free. Just heads up there. Another thing that you can do is use regular sauce and make your own cheese sauce. And I know people are probably like, what the heck? Why did she pick up cashews? So grab a bag of raw cashews. They have to be raw. you want to put them in hot water. So let's say you use a cup of cashews. Get enough hot water that it covers the cashews. Let it sit for like 6 hours. It makes them super soft. From there, drain the water off and throw them in your food processor. Turn it on and add a little bit of dairy-free milk, like a tablespoon at a time. Probably no more than 2 tablespoons max. Salt it, let it blend up, and it's gonna be like cream cheese. It is literally the bomb. It's so good. You won't even miss your cheese, I promise. You throw that on your pizza. It's not gonna brown up or be melty, but you're still gonna get that same flavor. Try it if you don't believe me. You can yell at me on the little forum. It's okay. I will be doing a recipe with that later this week just to show you how easy it is, okay? If you are missing things like butter in your diet, this is clarified butter. It's called ghee. It has all the milk solids removed from it. So this is, unless you are extremely sensitive to dairy, this is a good one to use. I also have a coconut oil that's butter flavored that I should have grabbed, but I didn't. I'll link to it though. The other things, pasta. Back at it, I forgot. This is another thing I use all the time for pasta. It's just broccoli slaw. You can just cover this in marinara, cover it in whatever you want. Same idea as the zucchini noodles. I'd rather you get fresh vegetables instead of whatever the bag stuff is instead. Now, the nice thing about broccoli slaw, just a heads up, is that they actually use the stalk of the broccoli, not the florets. So if you tend to get like discomfort from eating broccoli, try the slaw. It's a lot easier on your digestive system than the actual florets of broccoli. Just a heads up there. Last but not least, if you are baking, I know we have a baker or two in the mix and you're probably like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to learn all this stuff over again. The good thing is that 10 years ago, you would have been like lost, but now they have some pretty decent gluten-free flours. So Bob's Red Mill has just a 1-for-1 gluten-free flour. It's really good. It's super easy. It's pretty inexpensive. They have these huge stacks of it. So you could easily do that. I personally try to stay away from this, and I'd rather use cashew or almond meal with some coconut flour as well, which I should have grabbed, but I didn't. Or if you're looking for a one-to-one substitute, cassava. So this is a root. It's like yucca root, and essentially it is completely gluten-free, but it's also grain-free. And a lot of the stuff that I have to make for Dave, we use cassava flour. So super simple to use. You can see the bag's open, but it's still really good. And that's pretty much a one-to-one. If you are baking and you definitely need to take grains out for whatever reason, maybe you find that you're reactive to grains, cassava flour is a really good option. But again, if you're just starting your kind of gluten-free, just grab a bag of this. Super simple, easy. It has plenty of recipes, plenty of testing. Super good. Also, just a heads up, make sure if you're grabbing oats that they are certified gluten-free. Unfortunately, a lot of the oats aren't that are super cheap, and you will find that you're still having like gluten reactions, even though oats technically should be gluten-free, and that's because a lot of times they're processed in the same plant, and or they planted oats right after they planted wheat, and things just get kind of intertwined. So just a heads up there. I think we've covered everything on the table. I will tell you girls and guys, if there's any guys in here, that I also have some recipes that I linked to that have if you want to make your own version instead. And a lot of the things use a protein powder. So this is the one that I use personally. It's Vega. It's a vegan protein. It's gluten-free. It's vegan. You don't have to worry about any milk. A lot of the times people that have dairy issues also react to whey protein, which is why I am just showing you a vegan option. It tends to be a little bit heavier, denser. So when you're baking with it or using these recipes, if you're not getting the right consistency because you're using a different brand, you might want to just sprinkle in some coconut flour as well to kind of help thicken it up. So just a heads up there. Now I talked a lot. Hopefully I gave you guys some really good advice, but I want to just take 1 second. And if you didn't listen to anything else I just said, this is the one thing I want you to hear, okay? Going gluten-free, going dairy-free, does not automatically mean better quality food. Okay, so perfect example, and I love Dave and he needs the nutrition, but for example, these on the shelf have 2 types of flour, a starch, a yeast, a vegetable gum, all that stuff. Totally fine and great. They still have 110 calories for a half of a muffin, half of one of these, okay? And they're pretty much no protein, high carb. So just the same as you would get a regular English muffin. Just because it's gluten-free does not mean that you're gonna naturally have less calories or anything like that. So get out of your head that this is free for all of food because it's now gluten-free or dairy-free. So there's no way you can gain weight. You still can overeat these things. Same thing with like the pasta, especially the cashew cheese. It's gonna have just as much fat as regular cheese has. You get a little bit of leeway on the milks because they tend to have less calories than skim milk, but you are missing out on like protein, which is just something just to keep in mind as far as how full you may feel. And they do have a lot more fat than like skim milk especially. These flours are gonna be 1-to-1, if not more, as far as calories go, especially if you're using like a cashew or an almond flour. They're gonna have more calories per cup, so just a heads up there. I want you guys to realize, guys and girls, to realize that for me, whole foods is where your brain should automatically go. So having zoodles, having the broccoli slaw, making your own pesto, things like that are naturally going to be where you feel your best, but I know not everybody has the time for that, and you also have other eaters in your home. So I wanted to just give you lots and lots of options. Now guys, I hope you have a great day. I'm going to ask Dave if we have any questions. No questions, okay? If you watch this later, because I talk a lot, and you do have questions, please just leave them below. If you have random questions through the day, throw them up in the forum. That's what I'm here for. I really hope this was helpful. And again, make sure you go check out in your files for the group. There is an Excel sheet with just some of my favorites. If you have a favorite that I didn't mention here, feel free, throw it in the comments. That's what this is for, sharing with each other. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, guys.